Okay, this is another video of Building Strong Families, and we're going to interview a friend of mine I've known for years now. That's a Christian, and I'm going to call his name Art. Art, you're a Christian, right?
Yes.
You've been a Christian for how many years?
25 years.
25 years. Okay, could you tell us about the situation? Real quick, can someone get a hold of the time? I only have 15-minute interviews. I can't go past 15 minutes. So if you watch the 15 minutes, if anyone's got that. Okay, could you tell me the situation about how old you were when you were molested by the guy in the sheriff's department?
I was about 13 years old. 13
years old, and how was it? He came, your mother was a single woman, and this guy would come and pick you up, and he was like a mentor or whatever?
Yeah. He really reached out, in the beginning. He reached out in a real loving way, to help us because we didn't have any food, and my mother was divorced, raising 7 kids, and he came in and saw the situation, and so he befriended me, my mother, my little brother, and my sister.
Okay.
He befriended all of us in his real nice way.
Okay, when you say befriended, you mean molested all of you?
All of us, yes.
Okay. So, and now, how many years of your life have you been in prison?
6 years.
6 years of your life?
Yes.
Okay. Now, prior to this, you were talking about a situation of the life that you ended up getting involved in, because there's scripture that says that sex breeds violence. It breeds a violent people.
It made me bitter. It made me angry because I was real young, and I didn't know who I could trust to tell this to, so I kept it a secret for many years.
That's right. And
then I ended up in prison because I hated the police force, because the sergeant of the police force was the one that molested me. So I grew up with bitterness and hate, and then later on, when I ended up in prison because I wanted to do everything wrong against the law, then I met some Christian brothers in prison that told me I had to forgive this guy. And so once I started praying and forgave this guy, then the bitterness and all the hate fell off of me after I learned how to forgive.
Right. Okay, so we were talking earlier that also at one time you were running was it a prostitution ring, and you had how many girls working for you?
Yeah,
60?
we had about 60 women working for us later on, way after all of us were molested. My younger brother, he died. He turned into a homosexual from this molestation, and he died to AIDS shortly after that.
Okay. Now, so in other words, you became, it says, because lawlessness is increased, most people's love will grow cold. So you became a cold-hearted person.
Yeah, our whole family became dysfunctional. And even though my mother was divorced from my father, and she tried to raise us 7 kids by herself, we was already dysfunctional. And then it seemed like other dysfunctional, incidents would happen because we was already dysfunctional on top of, not having a father.
Okay. So, how was it you come to know Christ? Was that in prison?
Yeah, I've been raised up in the church all my life, but I never knew God or never acknowledged God until I got thrown in jail and, was alone, and then I wanted to know if God was real. If he really was real, I had to know about him,
Okay, let me ask you this. Out of these 60 women, how was it you met your wife?
I met her back whenever I was a lifeguard.
Okay.
Back when I was younger. So she went through a lot of this with me, too. And
okay.
She stuck with me 37 years now.
Okay, now your wife, she was also molested, is that correct?
She was molested by her grandfather when she was 5 years old.
Okay.
So she was climaxing at 5 years old, and she was molested until she was 11. And then finally her dad was real abusive. She lived in an abusive environment. So we met when she was 16 and I was 17, so we met years later.
Okay, now I know through your own personal testimony that your wife, she ended up leaving you, with your children, getting involved with somebody else, and you went through a living hell in order to get her back. But you've been faithful to your wife now and committed to her and your children, and that's the only reason. Your children, I mean, you've got some unbelievable children who have turned out to be real good. I mean, at the top. And that's because you've invested in them and you stood by them as a father.
Yeah, but I had to learn everything the hard way, and through all my traumatizing experiences as a child, I vowed that I'd never let my children go through that, so I was able to rear and raise my child up with good morals and love and compassion and understanding that I never had as a child. So I was more really on a mission to make sure my kids was never molested or treated the way I was, which was a heavy-duty task because every kid's molested these days.
Yeah.
You know, as I'm sure you know.
Yeah. Okay, and so what do you think about the condition of the world today and what you see going on? What do you think is going to change where we're at?
Destruction. Everything's got to be destroyed in order for everything to start all over again. You know, and then we're in a period of knowledge and a very fast accumulation of knowledge. So, you know, but everything is going to have to be destroyed so we can start all over. So there's going to be a lot of death occur in a massive way. And that's the only thing that I can foresee changing this country the way it's going. It's sad, but that's the way God's people has always turned against God and had to be destroyed and then cry out for God and come back to God and then be destroyed again. And that's why we have to look past this earth, because this earth is not the final destiny. We have to look way past this in order to understand where we're going to be. And it ain't here. It's not here. We're just here temporarily.
Okay.
So we have to get over there. And the only way to get over there is to leave here. But everybody wants to hang on and stay here when we need to be over there. You know, so everybody wants to hang on to their stuff and stay in this rut we're in, and we got to get past that. That's the answer right there.
Great job, brother. Okay, this is Greg Pound with Building Strong Families, and we put on a mask here because to keep this, because of the sensitive things that are being discussed. I can't think of anything else. Thank you very much for what you've had to say, Art. I appreciate it. All right.